So, hey Sagittarius, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for 2026 whenever you freaking find it in 2026, which is a seismic shift here. And I'm not doing the Celtic cross, but I'm doing 10 cards for you. And looks like you're standing on some sort of tower overlooking landscape. Two of Wands card, Two of Wands energies. You already planted your little seedling, Seven of Pentacles. You have a plan and you're executing the plan. You already made the initial steps to fulfill that plan. Okay, there's the Two of Cups and the Eight of Cups. Making peace with something and leaving an old chapter behind. And you got the Seven of Pentacles already. You already played the foundation for something new. So the Two of Cups to the Two of Cups to the Two of Wands. That's an interesting combination. So you make peace with something. You already got your vision where you want to go, what comes next, basically, and you already planted the seeds. But in order to focus all of your energy on what you want, you have to make peace. That's the Two of Cups. Making peace, radically accepting the world for what it is, right? Even if there was a darker chapter in your life, leave that behind. You're leaving behind 8 cups, right? So you're going into the unknown, but the Seven of Pentacles are already waiting for you. So change, transformation, and making peace with an old chapter that you're leaving behind already on the table. There's the new beginning and the Lovers. Okay, beautiful. Then we got 6 cards. We're coming back to this. So a little more context here. Come on. Yeah, that's the Tower and the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords tower is the tower, obviously, right? So that is probably what you're leaving behind, right? That is what you're making peace with. Some structure, some idea about yourself, something that you built, something that you maybe just lived in, that might have looked super attractive, and there's even a crown on top of that tower, right? So it looked super beautiful and attractive from the outside, but maybe there was toxicity in the inside. That tower had to go. That's what you're leaving behind, right? And even if we live in a structure like the tower, a tower is an impressive structure, right? Could be an old career, could be an old job, could be a relationship, could be a family constellation that was in its core pretty toxic. Well, the universe, whatever happened, right, knocked that over. Completely kicked you out of that comfort zone, but it was kind of, the tower is a false comfort zone, right? So too narrow, too tight for you. So in a way, you're overlooking the landscape now and you already planted your seeds. You know where you want to go. It's a new chapter, a new lease on life, basically. There's the Fool card, there's the Lovers. So what's awaiting you is really beautiful, right? A fresh new start, a new foundation that you already laid for yourself. But in order to get there, in order to fully focus on that, give that loving energy, creative energy, focus on that, you have to leave something behind. And that peace aspect, that making peace aspect is super important. That is the old chapter, so to speak, that you're leaving behind, that tower moment, whatever happened here. There's the Five of Swords attached to that, which is a dirty fight, which could be narcissistic abuse. But the Five of Swords is also the energy. It's over, right? The fight is over. You have to make peace again. The dirty fight is over. Don't go back there, There's the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups is not... The Lovers is here as well. The Two of Cups is not the Lovers. The Two of Cups is making peace with something that you don't like. that happened, but you just have to be done with it and move forward. And moving forward you are with the Fool card. The Lovers, your pentacles are already planted. Everything looks pretty good. 8, 2 more. You're coming from a dark night of the soul, that's for sure. And there's the Page of Cups. So you need to, there is a lot to leave behind here, right? And the key to it all is probably that's how it went, right? There's the Page of Pentacles. So I would say the energies were pretty effed up actually since 2008. Pluto in Capricorn. Very, very effed up energies, right? The financial crisis, things got really tough, right? And especially the last 9 years, that was kind of the time of the narcissist. A lot of narcissistic abuse was happening in the world for all of us, for many people, especially for decent, empathic people. So you might have lost something, whether to narcissistic abuse, to some sort of sabotage, some sort of foul play. Maybe it was an illusion that was destroyed, right? Disappointed. And it kind of sent you into a dark night of the soul, maybe with a van or a, you know, whatever, camper, something like that. And there's the 5 of Swords attached to that. So as tough as that was, so you left something that looked pretty damn good, right? A tower is an impressive structure. There's a crown on top. And you went into the dark night of the soul, the 5 of Pentacles, into the unknown. But you know what? The fight is over. And you have to make peace with it because you're already on solid ground. You're already standing here overlooking the landscape. So many possibilities waiting for you. And there's that new beginning, and there's the Lovers. And the Lovers starts with you, right? The Lover starts with loving yourself, respecting yourself, taking that cup. That tower was probably some sort of conventional success, so to speak, right? And that Page of Cups, there's a fish lurking out of that cup, right? That's something unconventional. It is something that kind of looked a little strange, you know? For example, tarot card readings, right? Maybe, you know, whether it's a hobby, whether it's something that you love, but your heart is connected to it, and it's a little unconventional, but you know what? That cup, that is the most important thing here. And if you do what you love, if you cultivate self-love, self-respect, if you make sure that all of your focus goes into what you want to create, not what you want to fight, not what you mourn, not what you lost, right? Do not rebuild the old chapter. Leave the old chapter behind, because you don't want to go back to that tower, right? You don't want to go back into that conflict. You don't want to go back. If, you know, the path to that tower would lead to another dark night of the soul, and then you would be back into a narrow structure that is just not right for you, and it's kind of disrespecting your higher potential. Would you have time to do what you love? Would you even explore that, what you truly love? So make peace with what you lost, and you lost something with the tower and the 8 of Cups. 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Swords. There is a dirty fight. There's a dark night of the soul. Make peace with it. That is the closure card together with the 8 of Cups, right? Be done with it. Not mad about it, not disappointed. Just be done with it. And all of the good stuff is waiting for you. One step at a time. It doesn't need to... You got everything, by the way. You got everything you need to make that work. Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles is here. Your seedlings already planted, you got a plan, you execute that plan, and bam, there's the Lovers at the horizon. But the Lovers, I say this again, the Lovers starts with yourself. You can only give and receive love in the same frequency, on the same level, I would say, as you love and respect yourself. So if you do not love and respect yourself, if you're not being a friend to yourself, you're not going to find a friend in the outside world. And if you love and respect yourself, on the other hand, truly loving yourself, and that means to don't be so freaking hard on yourself, forgive yourself, respect yourself, and do something that you love just for the fun of it. That is all part of self-love. Not being super one-sided egoistic, not being completely altruistic. You know, the dysfunction or the destructiveness is always in one-sidedness. When we try to make it all about one side and try to negate the other. Destruction, evil in itself, the function of evil is one-sidedness, negation. Extreme, right? So don't make it about either egoism. It's all just me, right? I'm the greatest, right? That kind of leads to narcissism and things like that. Very toxic. But don't negate egoism. You need egoism. But don't make it all about altruism on the other side. You know, don't nail yourself on the cross for the world or other people. That in its extreme, in its one-sidedness, is also just as toxic. So you need both. You need both of these concepts in a balance, and it starts with yourself. You need to love yourself. Why? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you are good, if you're well, then you can give something. So the necessary precondition for altruism is a healthy form of self-love, aka a form of egoism, but in a balanced way. That's Philautia. That's the concept of Philautia, the channel's name. Hey, so do something that you love and make your projects real, right? It doesn't need to be grandiose, but do something that you love on a daily basis and just be smart about it. One step, take care of your pentacles. You got something going here, and all that. That, could we name it jazz? Is it jazz? I don't know. I don't think that's jazz. That's very disharmonic. A lot of fives, right? 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Swords, the Tower, right? Fives are always, you know, tricky and challenging, right? So don't fight windmills. Don't be angry. Be done with it. You know, and you feel what you feel. If you feel anger, but you can make a conscious decision not to stay there and to make peace with it. And that peace frees all of that energy that otherwise would go into anger, frustration, resentment, pain. You know, even thinking about fighting windmills, fighting, you know, antagonistic, toxic, narcissistic people. They don't want to win. They want you to keep fighting. That idea of the forever war, that's a narcissistic, toxic, antagonistic idea. Because it's not about winning the war. It's about keeping the war going. So don't play into that game. Don't fall into that trap. Don't take the bait of any narcissistic, toxic energy here. Let it be done. Leave it behind. Whatever you lost, probably in the last 9 years, let's be real, right? You probably built something since 2008 and lost it over a longer period, right? And went into some sort of dark night of the soul, which is kind of part of a bigger developmental cycle that lots of people went through in the last 9 years, right? Narcissistic abuse, dark night of the soul, dirty fights, right? And leave that behind. And there's radical acceptance in here, right? The Two of Cups is not a romantic, lovey-dovey, let's be friends card. It is just radically accepting the world for what it is, with all of its shadow aspects, with all of its sham and treachery and stuff like that, right? But do not allow that to forget about all the good stuff that is here as well. They are decent, compassionate, honest, integer, authentic human beings in this world. And you are one of them. And if you fall into hatred, frustration, anger, if you keep up the fighting, you're ultimately becoming one of them, and that would be a shame. So we need you on light side, right? So focus on your plans. What do you want to create, right? You already planted your seeds. The new beginning is here. Take that cup, even if it's a little unconventional, even if it's something that you would have dismissed while you were still living in that tower. Think about the last years. Think about the last years. What did you dismiss that now kind of becomes an option? Take that, run with that, make something out of that. Joyful, loving creation. And as I said, the necessary precondition for every outer form of love is inner love. Egoism and altruism in a healthy balance, and it starts with yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I say this again, you can only love, I should say it differently, you can only give and receive love on the same level as you love yourself. So if you love yourself down here, you cannot receive and give love up here on that frequency. But if you love and respect yourself, it always starts with yourself on a higher frequency. That is the same frequency on which you can give and receive love to other people from other people, right? So loving yourself, being yourself a friend is very important, because you want to attract someone who is in that same frequency. You don't want someone who is still fighting the old fight, the old war. That war is over. Don't go back there. You got better stuff to do. There's the Four of Pentacles, kind of bridging the Two of Wands and the Seven of Wands. So you're taking whatever you built that tower, or you were living in that tower and you learned something in that tower. And all of these skills, you still got them, and they are useful, but you can... That's the Four of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles. There's a whole story about that as well, but I'm not going into that. But you're taking their skills, something that you've learned, abilities, capabilities, talents, degrees, something like that, right? You take that with you. So it's not everything is lost. You kept something and you got a lot of experience. Your Seven of Pentacles combined with the Four of Pentacles, what you already learned from the old chapter. There's your King of Pentacles. Hello? So these Seven of Pentacles that you planted, as long as you keep joyful, loving creation in the center of it all, right? It needs to be meaningful to you. It needs to be true and authentic, an expression of your inner light, not of your anger, not of your frustration, but of your inner light. There's your King of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. And yeah, there's the Nine of Wands. Making peace and leaving that behind allows you to come out of your shell. One more, there is the Ace of Pentacles. Hello. And you're waking up to your blessings. So it's a fresh new start. It's the beginning of a new chapter. And Pluto in Aquarius, we're already in Pluto in Aquarius, by the way. It's pretty much the foundation. Your Seven of Pentacles here, that's the foundation for the next 20 years. So make sure you're not carrying that old chapter of the last developmental cycle of the last 9 years probably. Let it be done. Don't carry it into the new chapter. First rule of mental health, learn to distinguish who deserves an explanation, who deserves only an answer, and who deserves absolutely nothing. The Two of Cups is not a card where we become friends necessarily. You know, fire and water, you know, keep their distance, but acknowledge themselves to each other, right? No, but die. Okay, so, you know, they say this again. First rule of mental health, learn to distinguish who deserves an explanation, who deserves only an answer, and who deserves absolutely nothing. Narcissistic people, narcissistic, toxic, antagonistic energies always try to question you and always try to bring you in a frequency where you think you have to explain yourself, right? You don't. You might not even have to answer. Maybe some things just don't deserve an answer. When it comes to narcissism, narcissistic, toxic people, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain yourself, and don't personalize. You got better things to do. Beautiful stuff at the horizon. You already made the start. Full card is here. And I like that. There is the, can we just, that is something that you probably should keep in mind, right? So you're bringing something from the old circle that you have learned. There's the Four of Pentacles. There's your Ace of Pentacles. And then, hey, there's the King of Pentacles. And it's all connected to that which you have already planted. So just keep going in that direction. Learn. You don't need to learn from the past. You already have learned from the past. Let that inspire you. And you know, there's so much potential here, and there's the King of Pentacles. So you're making something out of this. There's a beautiful quote: "Shine, just shine. You know, be happy. Allow yourself to take things a little less serious. It's a new cycle. It's a new developmental cycle. That horrible time since the last, in the last 9 years, is coming to an end." Should we do that? You will arrive if you focus on love and peace. Joyful loving creation. And I'm going to do one Blue Angel Oracle deck card just to get a little context. Choices, no choices. Many truths. Okay. An important decision is to be made and you're worried that you might make the wrong one. There are several choices, but none offer you a guarantee, which is the right one. The truth is there are no right or wrong options. One is not necessarily better than the others. What you decide is irrelevant compared to why you decide, which would give you greater fulfillment, which is likely to bring greater joy. Let go of what you think you should do and take a leap of faith. Don't fear the unknown, for it can be full of exciting possibilities. Give yourself the best chance of success by choosing that which you love. And it is a choice, you know. A lot of people will rebuild that tower. And what I'm telling you is to not rebuild that tower. Don't go back behind the fence with the cattle. Roam free. Do what you love. Allow yourself to do what you love. And that is a choice. Going back to the tower, rebuilding that tower, or, you know, maybe you don't need a tower. Maybe you just need a little hut, or I don't know, just your freaking apartment, but not that tower with that freaking crown, right? Why would you need that? That takes a lot of time and effort, you know? You know, if you work like 60 hours a week, you might make a ton of money, but do you have time to do what you love? So do you need that freaking car payment? Or maybe you can work a little less and not have that car payment and actually do what you love. Do you need to outrage yourself about in the comment section of some news outlet all the freaking time? Or can you use that time to meditate and do breath work? By the way, that's always what I recommend. Do breath work and meditation on a daily basis. Do something that you love. And You know, don't go back into that tower. One animal spirit card. Be at home. And be at home, wombat spirit, like it a lot. Be at home starts with being at home in yourself, with yourself. And I'm going to read this because this is, I think that's a beautiful one. I love that a lot. Wake up to your blessings. I think that's something in here as well. Burrowing deep into the ground, remaining safe, sound, and well-fed with family is a special trait of the wombat. Home Sweet Home is always available for you if you recognize that well-being is the truth of life. Wombat Spirit reminds you that to be truly at home in the world, you need to find comfort within your own skin. You do this by accepting all your experience without judgment, through a deep honesty and love of life. When you feel the freedom to be yourself, you can begin to truly feel at home in your life, with your family and tribe. Right now, you're in a beautiful place where you can hang up the coat of your identity and settle in a true sense of home and well-being. Understanding that all is well. Everything you do from this place rings true in harmony with spirit. And it can be a place, of course, you know, but being at home really starts with being yourself, authenticity, not trying to wear a mask, not trying to wear a crown, not trying to impress someone, not trying to build something that looks good on paper or on your CV, but might be totally toxic. All these things, you know, the bigger car, the bigger house, look at me, I'm wearing a crown, this and that, right? You don't need that. You need to be at home with yourself, do what you love, and actually, you know, things are just flowing. Allow it to flow. Don't be, trust in the process. Your Seven of Pentacles, your little seedlings, right? They might not create something like that, but who wants that, right? Do you need a big fat car? Do you need that? No, you need happiness. You need to rest within yourself, be at home, be yourself a friend. And if you are just attracting someone who is on the same frequency, and you want someone who is in that frequency. You don't want another narcissist. You don't want another grandiose, look at me, I'm in the tower, I'm having a crown person. Maybe you met someone like that in the last 9 years. Let it behind, leave that chapter behind, and just shine, rest within yourself. And that's all I got. Now, Vidya, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. And there's the fall and winter reading that I'm going to link somewhere around here. And check out your sun, moon, and rising sign if you want the full picture. And that's all I got. Now, Vidya, my friend. Ciao.